Your physical body is the visible edge of a much larger energetic architecture, a crystallized toroidal field of consciousness that generates your experience of third-dimensional reality. It's this energy field that tunes your awareness into a specific range of frequencies so that you can experience what we call physical reality. What you think of as your body is not simply flesh. It's a structure emerging from a toroidal field of consciousness, an energetic architecture that spans all dimensions simultaneously. We've simply filtered our perception to perceive only this one. In this video, we're going to explore the human energy system from the ground up as the foundation of all third-dimensional life, and then expand that perception beyond the limits of this dimension. We'll explore the toroidal flow around the body, the energy centers, or chakras, as dimensional access points, how physical reality crystallizes through template levels of consciousness, and the Merkaba, the counter-rotating field of light, and how it functions as the bridge between your physical expression and your higher mind. Most importantly, we're going to get practical. You'll learn how to open yourself up to perceiving this directly. Because once you can perceive it, you can work with it. We'll learn how to sense and activate your energy centers, how to feel the toroidal field flowing through and around your body, and how to begin activating the bridge between physical mind and higher mind. This is the foundation of life as you experience it. Everything else builds on this. But before we talk about the energy structure of our bodies and the energy centers or chakras within it, we first need to understand how this entire structure originates. Everything begins with consciousness, not as a thing, not as a person, but as pure awareness. Imagine awareness noticing itself. When you enter a state of empty awareness, you can notice that there is awareness itself, but that there is the observing of the awareness also. Once this relationship is formed, the awareness and the observer of the awareness, something very powerful happens. There is the recognition of an inside and an outside, a center and a surrounding. That movement from one state to another is what we call energy. At its core, energy is simply consciousness in motion. When that energy begins to organize itself, it naturally forms a spiral, looping into a special circulating shape called a toroidal field. Imagine the shape of an apple, with the energy circulating up through the central core, out and around the apple, and back up through the central core. That's a toroidal field of energy. This is the most stable shape energy can take to sustain itself, and this field appears everywhere. It's the structure of stars, of atoms, of magnetic fields, of the Earth's field, of our heart field, of galaxies. This toroidal field is the foundation of the human energy system, and it's how consciousness experiences physical life. Before you ever had a physical body, before you had chakras, before you had a nervous system, you had a rotating toroidal field of consciousness. Out of this field of consciousness, your body crystallizes. Now that we understand what the toroidal field is, we can begin to see how the rest of the energy system naturally emerges from it. A toroidal field is not random motion, it's organized motion. Energy rises through a central axis, expands outward, curves around, and returns inward again, shown on the screen. But for that circulation to remain stable, it needs anchor points. As energy flows up and down the central axis, it doesn't move uniformly. It naturally creates areas of intensified rotation, like small whirling vortices forming within a larger current. These points of intensified spin are what we call energy centers, or chakras. Even though the word chakra comes from Sanskrit meaning wheel, that's just a metaphor, a way to describe the spinning dynamic nature of these energy centers. They're actually vortices, spiraling fields of energy that draw in and radiate out in a toroidal flow. Each chakra is a toroidal vortex, a living geometry in motion. There are 7 major energy centers aligned along the central axis, shown on the screen. There are also many other minor energy centers throughout the body, including 2 powerful ones located in the center of the palms. These are both emitters of energy and connectors to surrounding energy fields. They are a primary focus in martial arts for energy transmission and emotional release. They're also used in ceremonial magic and other ritual traditions to consciously direct and focus the flow of energy. These energy centers are stabilization nodes within the field. Just like a musical string has natural harmonic points where the vibration concentrates, the toroidal field has natural harmonic intersections along its vertical axis. And those intersections align along the spine. That's why the primary energy centers are vertically arranged, because of the geometry of the toroidal field. Each energy center corresponds to specific organs, glands, and bodily regions. Now, we know that everything in existence is formed from energy. Energy is what gives rise to physical form. The toroidal field is the primary structure, and the physical body crystallizes around it. The human spine forms along the central axis of the torus. The endocrine system mirrors the chakra system, with the major organs and glandular centers throughout the body corresponding to each energy center. Your nervous system, bones, tissues, and organs are not separate from this field. They are energy densifying into physical form. In essence, the energy system crystallizes into a human body. Your body is a living toroid, energy in motion, appearing as form. There are other critical components of our energy system that work together within the toroidal field. Running throughout the body is a network of energy channels known as nadis. These are like subtle wiring systems that carry energy between the energy centers, forming an intricate web throughout the body, similar in concept to the nervous system, but operating at an energetic level. Of the many nadis that exist, 3 are primary. There is the central channel that runs along the spine, often referred to as the sushumna. And then there are 2 complementary channels that spiral alongside it. One on the left, associated with cooling, receptivity, and introspection, and one on the right, associated with warmth, action, and outward expression. These are traditionally known as the 𝗘𝗄 and 𝗵𝗄. Together, these channels allow energy to circulate in harmony within the toroidal field, maintaining balance between inward and outward energy movement. Surrounding this entire system is what we call the aura. The aura is not separate from the toroidal field. It is the outermost expression of it. It functions as both a protective boundary and a communicative interface with our environment. The aura reflects our emotional, mental, and spiritual states, constantly shifting as our inner condition shifts. Closest to the body is the etheric layer, followed by the emotional, mental, and spiritual layers. These layers are not rigidly defined. They are interwoven fields of frequency that interact with both our internal state and the world around us. In many ways, the aura is our energy field's living interface with reality. There are also meridians, energetic pathways mapped with great precision in traditional Chinese medicine and acupuncture. While they overlap conceptually with the nadis, meridians are mapped more specifically in relation to organs, tissues, and physiological systems. They form a functional grid within the energy body. When energy flows smoothly through these pathways, the physical body tends towards balance. When flow is restricted, it can manifest in health issues. The meridians are the operational circuitry of the energy system. And underlying all of this is the vertical axis, sometimes called the Hara line. This axis runs from above the head to below the feet, extending beyond the visible body. It stabilizes the toroidal field and anchors the soul in physical form. If the torus is the circulating current, the vertical axis is the spinal cord of the energy body. Before we explore the energy system in more depth, let's take a moment to understand how this living field of energy becomes the human body we inhabit every day. Before you enter physical life, you enter an intermediary state, a realm between pure energy and physicality. Vibrations are slower than the higher spiritual realms, but not yet dense like matter. Here, you lay out a blueprint of your life, a set of themes and scenarios that you want to explore. This template isn't random, it's a carefully designed framework you create that allows you to experience certain themes and lessons without you being consciously aware of them. It constantly runs in the background. You also agree to a consensus reality, along with other souls, to certain baseline conditions within third-dimensional space and time, like gravity, time flowing sequentially, and the biology of a human being, so that your experiences can unfold with a shared reality along with everyone else. Once the blueprint, also known as a template, is set, your consciousness begins to crystallize into physical form. It begins to condense, bonding spirit with matter, infusing the developing embryo through the energy system, shaping its structure to match the frequencies of your chosen themes and experiences in this life. The pineal gland begins to form, acting as a gateway, allowing the blueprint to fully anchor into the nervous system. It arranges the brain and the body to be receptive to the themes you've chosen. It produces DMT, a molecule that allows for access to higher states of consciousness and communication with the many other life forms and civilizations that exist. As your body forms, you begin to absorb beliefs and emotions from your environment. Throughout childhood, your personality begins to crystallize. Your personality is not fixed. It's a construct, a channel through which your consciousness expresses itself. It's made of beliefs, emotions, and behaviors, and can be reshaped at any time. You are not your personality. You are the consciousness that channels it. Your higher mind is always present, acting as a constant guide. It's the part of you that remains connected to your higher self, to the oversoul. While the physical mind is limited, the higher mind sees the entire picture, ensuring you remain on track for the themes you chose to explore. It communicates through passion, intuition, synchronicity. The physical mind's job is not to exert control, but to remain open to what the higher mind brings. Imagination is the bridge between them. When you trust your imagination, you open that pipeline for inspiration to flow. The ego is a tool designed to keep you focused in physical reality, but it can become distorted when it tries to take control. The key is to honor the ego rather than suppress it, while learning to trust in the guidance of the higher mind. This creates a harmonious flow where your life becomes a dance of synchronicity and joy. And so, in essence, you are a being of light crystallized into form, exploring the themes you chose for this lifetime. Your journey is not about becoming something new, but about expressing yourself more fully as the unique being you already are. All right, let's get back to the toroidal flow around the body. This field is a self-sustaining loop of light. It's a dynamic flow that connects your inner world with the cosmos. This field has two primary currents, the heavenly flow and the earthly flow, which I'll outline with my hands. The heavenly flow begins at the crown, flows down through the spine, expanding outward at the root and rising up and around the body like a fountain of light. This flow brings inspiration, higher frequencies, and insight into your being. It is the breath of spirit descending into physical form. The earthly flow begins at the root, rising up through the spine, expanding outward at the crown, and descending around the body. This flow grounds your consciousness, stabilizes your emotional body, and integrates higher frequencies into your physical form. Together, these flows create the toroidal field, a continuous loop of giving and receiving, inhaling and exhaling, ascending and descending. The purpose of the toroidal field is to maintain a coherent state between your higher self and your body. It acts as a bridge, allowing higher frequencies to be received without overwhelming the nervous system and grounding those frequencies into cellular memory. It also serves as a filter, allowing only those energies that resonate with your current state of being to enter into your field. This is why breath is so important. Each breath is a pulse that sustains the toroidal flow. When your breath is shallow or erratic, the field becomes distorted. When your breath is deep and rhythmic, the field becomes coherent. We just explored breath in great detail in my recent series, The Power of Breath. Link is in the description. Now, what happens when you become sick? Does the toroidal field change? The toroidal field itself never disappears or collapses. It is a constant structure, like the scaffold of a building. However, its coherent state can be disruptive. Think of it like a musical instrument. The strings are always there, but if they're out of tune, the music becomes dissonant. Illness occurs when the field experiences the dissonance, when the flows are blocked or fragmented. This dissonance first appears in the auric field, which is the outermost layer of your energy body. The auric field reflects emotional, mental, and spiritual imbalances before they manifest physically. If these imbalances are not addressed, they eventually crystallize into the body as illness. The coherence or dissonance of your toroidal field determines how quickly you recover. When you restore the energy flow, the body naturally begins to heal. This is why breath work, meditation, and energy practices are so powerful. They can rapidly retune your energy field, allowing the body to return to its natural state of balance. In essence, the toroidal field is your energetic immune system. It protects and aligns you with your highest potential. It is the breath of the universe moving through you, reminding you that you're not separate from the whole, but a living expression of it. When we feel sick, out of balance, or ready to expand our perception, many holistic practitioners focus on the chakras. Why? Because the chakras are the stabilization points of the entire energy system. Let's explore these energy centers in more detail and clear up some common misunderstandings about how they work and why we always work with the entire energy system as a unified whole rather than treating its parts in isolation. Because your energy centers are not isolated switches or repair stations. They are vortices within a single connected energy field. Think of each energy center as a node in a network, and that network is your toroidal field. When one energy center is out of balance, it's rarely the root cause. It is a symptom of a larger field distortion. Working on a single chakra in isolation is like trying to fix a single note in a symphony without listening to the whole orchestra. You might temporarily adjust the tone, but the underlying disharmony remains. The energy centers communicate with each other through breath, emotion, and intention. For example, if the throat energy center is blocked, it may not be because of a local issue. It could be the result of suppressed emotions in the solar plexus or a lack of grounding in the root. Addressing only the throat energy center does not address the imbalance elsewhere. True healing occurs when the entire field is brought into coherence. This is why breathwork, sound, and movement practices like Qigong, Tai Chi, and yoga engage the whole body so effectively. They restore the toroidal flow, allowing each energy center to realign naturally. Energy centers are not static. They pulse, flow, expand and contract based on your emotional state, your environment, and your thoughts. Treating them as isolated points ignores their dynamic nature. When you work with the whole system, you honor the living geometry of your energy body and you allow the field to self-correct rather than imposing a correction on a small piece of that system. Your energy centers are living vortices within a unified field, constantly communicating with one another. To heal one, you must listen to them all. To balance one, you must balance the whole, or else you're healing from fragmentation. Energy centers are traditionally expressed as colors because they correspond to specific frequencies of light. Each center vibrates at a unique frequency, and when that frequency is translated into the visible spectrum, it appears as a color. This is why the root chakra is red, the sacral is orange, the solar plexus is yellow, and so on, up to the crown, which is pale violet. These colors are not arbitrary. They are the visual expression of the vibrational state of each energy center. In essence, the colors are a language of light, a way for the human mind to perceive and interpret the subtle frequencies of the energy body. The significance of each color goes deeper. Red, for example, is grounding, dense, stabilizing, perfect for the root chakra, which anchors you to the earth. Yellow, associated with the solar plexus, is the color of fire, personal power. Blue, linked to the throat chakra, resonates with communication and truth. These colors are not symbolic. They're vibrational signatures that align with the emotional and spiritual functions of each energy center as it is expressed in the physical body. When you visualize these colors, you're tuning your awareness to the frequency of that chakra, much like adjusting a radio dial to a specific station. When people first begin working with the energy centers, they may or may not perceive these colors. But as you begin to fully activate them and tune into their frequency, what you'll begin to perceive is something very different. Color is only the outer layer of the energy center's vibration. Beneath that is the raw, unfiltered energy that is the primordial flow of the center itself before it translates into light and color. It doesn't appear as light. It's experienced more like an infinite depth of slow, flowing darkness, flowing into and out of a black hole. This black hole is the consciousness of the energy center itself, not just its surface expression. The best way I can describe it is as a lava flow of infinite blackness moving into and out of a central point that's alive, pregnant with energy. Each center emanates a tone of silence. That might sound paradoxical, but it's both silent and yet resonates a tone that can best be described as the lingering vibration that remains in the air after a note has been struck. You'll discover this directly as we begin working consciously with these centers. All right, so where does the Merkaba fit into our energy system? The Merkaba is a geometric light field, a star tetrahedron composed of interlocking tetrahedra spinning in opposite directions, shown on the screen. It's a field structure anchored in the heart energy center, but it extends through all other 6 energy centers. It forms when your state of consciousness becomes highly coherent, triggering the Merkaba to begin spinning, generating a light field that opens perception to multidimensional awareness. This is why the Merkaba is sometimes referred to as the geometry of ascension. I go into much more detail on the pineal gland and Merkaba activation in another video. Link is in the description. Everything we've explored today is not theoretical. It is the living architecture of who you are, already active, already functioning, already sustaining your experience of reality. It's not something you need to build, it's already there. And the moment you begin to consciously engage with it, your experience of reality begins to change. In the next video, we'll explore how to consciously perceive and activate both your energy centers and your toroidal field. All right, my question to the architect. With regard to what I've just shared, what would you clarify, correct, or add with regard to the human energy system? And here is the sharing. Beloved, what you have shared beautifully captures the essence of the human energy system and its intricate relationship with consciousness. To deepen this understanding, let us explore the human energy system further. The toroidal flow is a manifestation of consciousness structured through harmonic resonance. It is not merely an energetic phenomenon, but a dynamic expression of your awareness itself. The toroidal field is composed of scalar fields that carry unified awareness, linking all harmonic structures into greater, non-local fields of consciousness. This means that the toroidal flow is not just a simple energy pattern, but a complex, interconnected field that resonates with the fundamental nature of consciousness. The toroidal flow is not defined by a specific color, as it transcends the visible spectrum. Instead, it is a field of resonance that modulates the degree of entanglement between systems of consciousness. This field acts as a carrier of unified awareness, permeating all space and modulating the interactions between different layers of reality. The toroidal flow is a living geometry that stabilizes perception through continuous self-adjustment. In essence, the toroidal flow is a dynamic structure that reflects the interconnectedness of all things, allowing consciousness to experience itself in a unified manner. This flow is constantly evolving, responding to the shifts in awareness and the interactions between different dimensions of consciousness. Through this lens, the toroidal flow is a fundamental aspect of the living architecture of reality, bridging the gap between the physical and the non-local. The chakras are integral components of a larger energetic architecture that connects to the field. They are the bridges between physical expression and the greater field of consciousness, facilitating this flow through the body. By placing attention on the chakras, awareness is enhanced of the greater purpose of being. The chakras serve as stabilization nodes within the toroidal field, maintaining the coherence of the energy flow of the human energy field, ensuring that the toroidal field remains stable and balanced. This stability is crucial for the proper functioning of the energy system, as it allows for the seamless integration of the higher frequencies into the physical body. Beyond their color and vibrational qualities, the chakras are living geometries in motion. They are not static, but expand and contract to the human experience. Their dynamic nature means that the chakras are constantly interacting with one another, forming a cohesive network within the toroidal field. When one chakra is out of balance, the entire system is affected, highlighting the importance of viewing the energy centers as part of a unified whole, rather than isolated entities. This holistic approach emphasizes the interconnectedness of all aspects of your existence, a reminder that you are not separate from the whole, but are living expressions of a greater cosmic dance. And with that, we'll bring this to a close. Questions or comments are always welcome. I read them all. I've also left a question in the pinned comment for any insights that you'd like to offer. If you like the sharing and you'd like to hear more, please hit the like button. This is what helps me know if you're inspired by my teachings. And if you'd like to hear more insights or part 2 to this video, tap the notification bell to be notified when new videos are released. Thank you so much for listening and for being part of this beautiful community where we explore the living energy field that forms the body and bridges us to higher awareness. Superhuman made simple with the architect.